Morning everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So it is early in the morning, the sun's not even up yet, and I wanted to shoot this video quickly and hopefully get it up before the earnings call. But I wanted to give you guys, initially this was going to be 5 reasons why Tesla is held to a higher standard, but it's become 6 or 7. But go ahead and listen through. I think you'll get a kick out of this. So first off, I think that a lot of people tend to assume that Tesla is held to a higher standard because of the cost, and there is a little bit of truth to that. And up until the Model 3, all Teslas were very expensive cars, and so they're held to a higher standard. And oh, as a sidebar, you'll hear squeaking from the front end. My squeak is back, and I have a video coming up on that, so stay tuned for that. No reason to comment about it in the comments section. I've got a video coming up on it. So I apologize for the squeaking and creaking from the front end, but I've got the part in stock for that, and I'll be doing a video on it here soon. Hilarious noise. I don't know if that's coming through on the camera. But so anyway, cost is one factor, but it's not the only factor. For instance, Cadillac, BMW, Mercedes, a lot of cars are on the expensive side, and yet Tesla is still held somewhat to a higher standard. So that's cost is one factor, but it's not the primary factor. Next item number 2 is tech. So Tesla, at this point, other manufacturers are catching up, but Tesla, especially with the Model S, with the large screen, the technology was just way ahead of everybody else at the time. But that was way back when. So I believe the earliest Model S is in 2012. So for 2012, the technology was amazing, and it's still quite good. It is still quite good. The screens are very responsive, and the technology is quite good. However, it's not just the tech, but that's one facet to it. Item number 3 is Autopilot. So though there are other hands-free driver's aids out there, or auto steer driver's aids. I know you're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel, but there are other driver's assistance technologies out there beyond just Autopilot. So it's not only Autopilot, but Autopilot was way ahead of the game, and many people argue that Tesla still has the best driver's aid technology on the market. So, but that's another factor. Now, item number 4, and this isn't really an item. Now we're shifting from specifics about the car, and I know there's other things. People are going to chime in and say, well, what about the superchargers and different things? Well, yeah, but superchargers make Teslas desirable, but the supercharger network doesn't necessarily make Teslas held to a higher standard. Again, desirability does not necessarily make them held to a higher standard. It can be a contributor, but follow me on this. And that is that item number 4 is not so much an item, but a mindset related to a specific thing. And that is the claims that Tesla, or specifically Elon Musk, makes about the cars. And so when somebody makes grand claims about anything, you tend to be held to a higher standard. So for instance, if you have an athlete and you've got a specific world record that's been set, and an athlete says, well, I'm going to beat that by some wide margin, by 5% or 10% or something, that claim is so grand, because to break a world record in some athletic competition, you might break it by 1%. So to claim I'm going to break it by 5% or 10%, all of a sudden people look at you like, oh, well, you made this grand claim, I'm going to watch you, and if you beat the record but only by 2%, people don't see you as you broke the world record. People see you as you didn't meet the goal you were given, that you had put out there for yourself. And so Tesla, and again Elon Musk specifically, has made some pretty phenomenal claims, and because of those phenomenal claims, that's another reason that people will hold Tesla to a higher standard. Item number 5, is that Tesla is the new kid on the block. Anytime somebody, and let's just use that exact analogy for you. I remember being a kid, and a new kid would move in on the block. Now, first off, everybody wanted to get to know the new kid. Let's say that new kid had a better bike than you did, and was better at sports than you were, and maybe was better looking, and so girls were attracted to him or whatever. That new kid that everybody wanted to get to know, suddenly they pull back, everybody pulls back and goes, whoa, wait a minute. You can't just jump to the head of the pack. You're new here. You have to kind of stay back a little bit, and people get jealous. And that's kind of what happened with Tesla. General Motors has been one of the biggest opponents of Tesla as far as talking down on them, Bob Lutz in particular. But what a lot of people don't seem to remember is that early on, Bob Lutz and Musk were friends. In fact, the Gen 1 Volt, Bob Lutz gave Tesla credit for the development, or for being the catalyst that pushed Bob to develop and release the Gen 1 Chevy Volt. So, but then after a while, hey, this new kid, he's, good looking and more athletic and smarter or whatever, has a better bike. All of a sudden it's, whoa, time out, whoa. You're muscling in here. We've been here for, with the auto industry, we've been here for a century. What are you doing pushing your way in here? So all of a sudden there's this jealousy thing that you get this pushback. And I mean, you can call me crazy if you want, but Tesla isn't the only company that this has happened to. It's just one of the more extreme cases, at least in the modern day. So, item number 6 is that Tesla is or has disruptive technology. So, and this kind of goes hand in hand with some of the previous items that I mentioned, but I think it bears repeating and mentioning as a separate item. So, disruptive technology or a disruptive company is what that is. It's disruptive. And so, to disrupt something means you're going to cause waves and shake things up a bit. When you have disruptive technology, it will sort of aggravate those that are out there that have established technology. They don't want to put in a bunch of new R&D when their established technology is selling just fine. This could be seen with the Tucker automobile. Tucker was squashed because he was ahead of the curve. It was very advanced technology for the day. I'm not going to give an education on the Tucker automobile, but I highly recommend you go back and look at it. And I know I'm not the first person to draw a parallel with Tucker, but it's very true. He was a disruptor, and it shook things up, and he got pushed out because of it. And I believe that's part of what's happening with Tesla. Now, there's a sort of a 7th bonus item, and that goes back to EVs as a whole are for some reason held to a higher standard than gas cars. Now, I know EV opponents are gonna speak up and say, no, EVs have been allowed to get away with short range for such a long time, and yeah, whatever. I mean, you can buy it or you don't have to buy it as far as short range cars go, and I agree that EVs have historically had a very short range up until recent days, but for the most part, EVs have always been looked at as, oh, there was a fire in an EV. Well, you know what? There are many times more gas car fires per 100,000 vehicles sold. I'm not talking each day. There's a lot more gas cars on the road. But if you take 100,000 gas cars and 100,000 electric cars, there are far more fires in gas cars than electric. So, but every time there's one electric vehicle fire, it's, oh, look at electric cars, they're horrible. There's just, EVs have always been held to a higher standard. And I think some of what I mentioned about why Tesla is held to a higher standard can be applied to most EVs. Although most EVs don't necessarily have more tech than gas cars or disruptive tech, except for the electric propulsion side can disrupt things a little bit. But I think that just electric vehicles, the primary reason I think when you stir all of these ingredients together, the primary reason Tesla is held to a higher standard is all of these things combined. It's an EV, and it has disruptive tech. And Musk has made phenomenal claims, which the cars have met. I mean, there's a few specific goals that he hasn't, but the vehicles as a whole have met all of these goals that he set for himself. And just all the things that I've mentioned, I think, stirred together, people kind of look at Tesla like, oh my gosh, we're gonna judge Tesla differently than every other auto company in the world. And now part of that, it's somewhat fair. I mean, Tesla isn't just a vehicle manufacturer. They're an energy company. They're a tech company. They're a vehicle company. Other auto manufacturers are vehicle manufacturers. And so I think that it's actually, to a certain extent, acceptable to hold Tesla to a higher standard than normal gas cars. So that's my analysis of it. And I'm trying not to make my videos too long, so I didn't want to make this too wordy. But if you guys have any comments, I'm sure there's going to be some pushback, there's going to be some agreement. Leave your comments in the comments section below. And there are more points than this, but I didn't want a 36 reasons why Tesla is held to a higher standard subject matter for this video. No one would watch that. But anyway, go ahead and let me know what your thoughts are. I'm sure there's things that I've omitted for the sake of time that people are going to point out. But I'm excited to see the earnings call, and I've got my thoughts, my ideas on what we're going to see or hear in the earnings call, so excited to see that. And I've got videos coming up on my second screen with the Scan My Tesla app, and so be looking for those videos. Also, I'm coming out with a bunch of new steering wheels. I think I've come up with a method to modify steering wheels much more rapidly, and therefore make them available to people that have an interest in them without it being so crazy expensive like they've been in the past because of the one-off high labor aspect of making them. So anyway, thanks guys for tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let me know if there's specific videos you'd like to see me shoot. So thanks guys. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.